everyone. Welcome to the Eternal X Wolfpack Paranormal Podcast. I am your host, Sean Ellis. Tonight, we have a great guest on as well. He is from Serial Killers, Supernatural, and Murderers. We've had 2 of the 4 on. We actually had all 4 of them on the show at one time, but we had so much going on. I wanted to bring them back individually. So I'm working on them one at a time, and we're going to get to know a little bit about them and their background story a little bit as well. But tonight we have Mr. Blaine Rohan. And here he is.
Hey guys, what's going on? Hey Sean.
How are you?
Dude, I am as good as I can get. I'm bacheloring this week. My wife's in Illinois visiting family, so it's just me and the dogs here. So it's like sort of quiet.
We're at in Illinois.
Like
I'm down here in Illinois. We're at in Illinois.
She went to Chatham, just outside of Springfield, down in southeast Illinois. I got family from Louisiana too, so sorry, man. But yeah, she's from southern Illinois.
Man, that's about 2.5 hours from me, 3 hours. Yeah, pretty close. But yeah, I've been to Springfield a few times.
Yeah, she had to fly into Bloomington yesterday. Yeah, right on. Yeah, she flew into Bloomington because Springfield does have an airport, but you have to go like 5 different other flights to get into Springfield. And with Bloomington, she goes Montgomery, Atlanta, Bloomington, then she's there. She's done. Then her parents, her mama come and got her. So, hey, Gwen. Great show earlier. You got.
Yeah, we have Ms. Gwen Johns in the house. She is the powerhouse producer for All Access Network Television. She is in the chats here as well. She is part of the Serial Killers and Supernatural Murders as well. We're definitely going to have a talk with her one-on-one as well in time here. She also helps co-host here once in a while on my show as well.
Yeah, she's a jack of all trades. I'm proud of her because she came into this not knowing a damn thing, and then she's taught herself so much that she's become an essential part of the network and all the shows that are on the network. So yeah, we'll give a shout out to Gwen. Proud of you, girl.
Most definitely, and I'm also co-host with her on Paranormal Surge on Thursday nights as well.
Yeah, I've been trying to catch that as much as I can. All the shows on the network, but sometimes other things in life happen, so I miss out. But I try to keep up with all the shows because all of you guys are part of the big family of All Access Network. If I could learn to speak, I'd be dangerous, John.
It's a tongue twister for sure. It's kind of like saying my Eternal X Wolfpack Paranormal. They call it internal, but it's the eternal.
Eternal. I was going to ask, why is it X Wolfpack?
Because I used to be part of another group that was called the Wolf Pack.
Okay.
So I branched off myself, but I'm still part of a Wolf Pack because I have a pack of my own.
I gotcha. And wolf is as well as yours is one of my main spirit animals. I have it tattooed right next to my bear on my chest above my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And this is funny because when I was in the Air Force, there is a squadron over in Korea called the Wolf Pack, and I was part of the Wolf Pack squadron over there, which I thought was pretty cool because that was one of my spirit animals. I've known that for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've actually found out mine was one when I started going through my Menaki rites.
Yeah, and
doing some Reiki work, and that's when some of my guides started appearing, and that's when I found out about the wolf, and he's pretty dominant as well. Hello, Susan Victoria. How are you tonight? Thanks for stopping.
My bear and wolf, I found them when I was very little, probably 2 to 3 years old. I remember seeing them when I was a little kid, seeing them walk around my yard, and then they walk through the house, and I'd see them, the wolf first and the bear, the wolf first and the bear. Then every time I go somewhere, I'd see the wolf and the bear always on my sides since I was a little kid. And I thought it was funny. When I was in Korea, I was taking a Reiki class through a Reiki master there in Korea.
Yeah,
I did 3 classes with him, and the 3rd class he told me, he goes, I can't work with you no more. I said, why? What's wrong? He says, because you're more powerful than I am. I should be taking lessons from you. I'm like, okay, thanks, man. So this part, it cost me 3 bottles of Jack Daniels to do his class. He wouldn't take money, but he would take a bottle of Jack. So I paid
Wow.
bottles of Jack, and then he had me come back and help him teach his students because I knew more than he did.
Wow. That's crazy. I actually was in class one night and I knew about my wolf. I didn't know about the other, but we were taking turns trying to read each other's energy. And one of the shamans come up to me and says, "I can't read you." And I was like, "Why?" And they said, "Because not only you have your wolves, you have jaguars.
Yeah.
And they will not let you anywhere near you." So I thought that was pretty awesome. That's the first time I heard about my jaguars and got in tune with them.
I can see your jaguars around you. They're beautiful, just beautiful creatures. Beautiful, man. And feel honored that they chose you, because I know our wolves chose us. My bear chose me, and your jaguars chose you.
Mm-hmm.
And that honor that they bestowed on us, dude, is nothing we could ever pay for or live enough in this lifetime to pay them back what they give us every day. So I make sure I honor my bear and wolf every day. I talk to my bear and wolf, and I'll give you some funny stories about my bear and my wolf. All right, we were up at Sloss Furnaces doing an investigation there in Birmingham, and I got this ornery damn spirit. We're trying to talk to this young lady's mom and dad who had passed, and they were coming through very fine. And I had this one male voice kept cussing at us and dropping F-bombs and dropping this. I'm like, dude, you got to be that mean? Then he said, F you. I said, what'd you say to me? F you again. All right, fine. I said, do you really want to play with me? Then he dropped another F-bomb. I said, bear now. And all you heard was my bear growl and heard him go, get it off of me. Get it off of me. Then I guess my wolf decided he wasn't having enough fun, so he wanted to join in with Mr. Bear, and they tore him a new butthole. I mean, shredded him. And I was like, I told you, you do not want to play with me. I don't play fair. And dude, we did hear another word after him. And you heard this young lady's father say, son, I had never seen nothing like that in my life. From old Tennessee guy. And I said, well,
that's actually strange you brought that up, because I was on an investigation at one time and we were having some spirit cuss me, and he kept kind of mocking me, and I was like, you don't want to do that, and it just kind of kept laughing to come over the box, and it just kept chuckling, and I'm like, what is your problem? And I sent the wolves after him, and all he heard was, oh shit, and F shit. You.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I had another one too, dude. We were at this place in Alabama called Pauley Jail. I don't know why I get these characters, but I always get the damn pedophile spirits. And this one, man, he was talking about, because we had probably about 6 women in there, about 3 guys on that investigation. And he kept making snide remarks toward the women, what he was going to do with them. And I said, I know your mother didn't teach you that. Then it was F you this, F you that. You ain't going to do shit, blah, blah, blah. I said, all right. I said wolf, and that's all how I said was wolf. And then we were doing spirit box. Thank God it caught it. You hear the wolf go, arr! Yeah. Then you hear him go, oh, F me. Then you hear over the ghost box, you hear this thing just ripping limbs off, and you hear this like big battle. I was like, I told you to not mess with me. I don't play fair. And you're only lucky you got one of them. Yeah, because I could have had the tag team of the Bears and Wolf and all the thousands of tribes I have that protect me. I'm like, this is fun to me. I love the battle.
They're definitely interesting, because, like I said, even when my team's around me, I have them guard over my team and keep them safe as well. Plus, I'll mark them with certain symbols that I know as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you have any other guides besides animal guides, since we're on that subject?
My main spirit guide, her name is Janawa. She was she's probably about 900 years old now. She was a Cherokee medicine woman and a tribe leader. She's probably about 5'4", beautiful woman, beautiful little woman, but mean. Oh my God, mean as a hornet. messed with her one time. And that's it. One time I told her, she tried to tell me something one time. I said, no, you're full of crap. That ain't right. And then next thing I know, all my gifts were gone. I was not a medium no more. I was not an empath anymore. She cut me off for a week, dude. And it was scary because I didn't have my protection around me either. So anything could have come and got me during that week. And finally I said, look, Jenna, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I will never doubt you again. If you tell me to run out in the middle of traffic, I'm going to start running, okay? Because she's never led me wrong. But that one time, dude, whew. And I'll give you another story about Janawal on Lee Brown's show, Repossessed, episode number 8.
Mm-hmm.
There is a spirit on the SLS camera. And me and Lee are related anyway, so she could use any of my spirits that I have because she's family. Well, on the show, she called for Janawal. And Janawal and her spirit guide Minnie jump in, and they're beating the bricks off of this dude on the SLS camera. It was funny. He said they only showed about 3 minutes of it, but it lasted like 13, 14 minutes of them just whooping the living shit out of this damn spirit. I laughed. And, you know, my spirit guide and Lee's, the only two ever get a credit on a TV show.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Go episode 8. It shows that spirit guides, Janawa and Minnie. I was like, that is so cool. You have your spirit guide on a TV in the credits, you know. I've had so many adventures with Janawa and Bear and Wolf. It's just fun for me. I love investigating. I take pride out of it in teaching other people how to do things right and not be stupid in investigations. You know what I mean? I'm trying to teach
most definitely.
It doesn't get them hurt because, and I'm very big about not provoking. And there's a reason I do that, because just say I come into your house and I start dog cussing you and telling you you're a piece of crap. What's the first thing you'll do? Either kick my ass or shoot me. You know? Spirits the same way. They might not be able to shoot you, but they can hurt you. I can guarantee you, the spirit can hurt you and hurt you bad. I'm experienced because I've had my hair pulled. I've been pushed downstairs. I've been pushed upstairs. I've been stabbed. I've been shot. I've had smoke blown in my face. When I had a lot shorter hair when I was military, I've had them pull the little hairs out with my crew cut. That hurts worse than somebody snatching out long swear.
Oh yeah.
But I tell them not to provoke. I said, look, they'll get me. I'll have something that I have to fight. And I'm not provoking this spirit. I am telling this spirit what I'm going to do, what that spirit's going to do, whether it likes it or not. I'm not provoking it at all. I'm letting it know what's going to happen. I tell him before it happens, it's going to happen. And then they F around and find out.
Yeah. I've got some really good guides with mine that's taught me a lot of good stuff. And especially Anubis.
I have so many because of the gifts I was given as a child, of the gift of sight, the gift of emotions with being an empath. I'm a natural healer, and I'm a shaman. And I didn't know I was a shaman until Lee told me I was a shaman. I knew I liked helping people. I knew I liked trying to make people feel better. They don't feel good. Encourage people. Literally give you the shirt off my back. And ask Lee and her son at Sloss. He was freezing. I literally gave him a shirt off my back because he had a bloody nose.
Right.
And Lee was like, you want me just washing us in the back? Yes. No, that's his now. And this is the way I am, dude. I treat people with respect if they would treat me back with respect. And I love talking to spirits. I love when they get excited, especially spirits, when nobody's talked to them for a while, that all they want is recognition like humans do, you know?
Oh, yeah.
They want to know, be remembered. And that little few minutes you talk to them, they're just amazed that, hey, somebody wants to actually talk to me now.
Right.
And they love that stuff. I love that stuff because it makes me feel better because I got to help that spirit. And I love helping families to understand why the spirits are haunting their locations and trying to make it where there's an even balance where the spirits can live comfortably and the humans can live comfortably. And if they're not going to be comfortable, I make sure that they go where they need to go.
Yeah, most definitely. One of the things when I was going through my Menaki rites and I got all my spirit guides going through that, they appeared during my rites, the 9 rites that I got.
Nice.
Afterwards, maybe about a year or so later, about 10 Indian figures showed up in front of me from different time frames. They appeared to me in a picture of what I could see, and they said it's time.
Yeah.
So that's when I started taking my shaman classes and started learning the ways of the shaman and mixing it with
awesome.
Reiki. And
yes, I do too.
It's definitely a good combination. And even in my classes, I've got access to Peruvian and Wiccan and stuff like that as well.
I've got the Peruvian and Wiccan because I was stationed down in Panama, so I learned all that down there too.
And then I've got access to Druids because I've got the mark of the Druid.
You too.
Yep, I got the mark of the Druid. It goes from Scotland.
That's some of my tribes are Druids. Dude, I've got like all Native American tribes. I've got the Druids. I've got the Celtics. I've got the 300. I've got Roman soldiers. I've got Greek soldiers. I've got Egyptian soldiers.
I've got a Roman and I've got Egyptians. Yeah.
It's amazing how close that is, dude. I didn't think there was many people like us that were so, I call it great spirit blessed, because we didn't ask for none of this stuff, but dude, I embrace every minute of mine because I enjoy what we get to do. I think it's because it makes us feel like we're here for a purpose. You know,
I agree. I definitely agree. And I think it's a good combination of the ones I've got, because I've got bad ones, I've got good ones. And like I said, it's in order to keep them and maintain that knowledge, you got to keep that balance, because some people either fall to the light or they fall to the dark.
Yeah.
And it ends up just being one-sided and not being able to deal with the other unless you understand both sides of it. So I am blessed when it comes down to doing that, for sure.
Oh, definitely, dude. It's so rewarding for us to be able to do that, but it's also rewarding if I can teach you something new and you teach me something new. Now we both know something new. I can take what you taught me and teach somebody else, and you can take what I taught you and teach somebody else. Now there's 2 more people that know what we know, and so on and so on.
Yeah, that's one thing I do is I try to teach my team members, especially when we're out in the field, like on hands. I'll sit there and I'll explain it to them what's going on and why you're feeling this way. How come you're feeling this way? What I sense, and can you sense it? And do you understand what's going on? Yeah. Because I do have people that are empaths on my team, and I also have people that are clairvoyant on my team, and I'm very thankful for the ones I got.
Oh yeah, dude. They're there for a reason too. And you know what's funny is you and I could tell if somebody else has gifts that haven't known how to use them yet. We pick up on it right away, and we sort of gravitate toward them to mentor them, to help them understand why they have the gifts they have. And I do this a lot. Me and Lee both do a lot with children that have gifts, because I was one of those children that had gifts and I had no backing. Lee at least had her mother and grandmother. My grandmother got married, who was all my spiritual guidance. When I was about 8 years old, she got married, moved out of the state. She married an Air Force guy, and they moved to Nebraska. So I didn't get all that stuff. I had to do this on my own. And I just remember how scared I was, because I'd go anywhere and I'd always see spirits. And they'd always show me in their worst form they could show me in. Usually like the time of death. It was a gunshot wound to the head. I'd see them with the guns in their head. I would see knife wounds. I would see people with half heads or no arms, and I'd see stuff like that. As a little kid, that sort of freaks you out. And plus, I grew up right across the street from a graveyard, so that didn't help much. And I'd see the spirits over there all the time. And this is how I found out I had gifts. I was 4 years old. Me and my grandmother would go across this old graveyard across from us, dude. It was raggedy, graves open up, everything. It was not a well-kept cemetery, but it had some of the best wild blackberries and plums and strawberries you could ever pick. And we would go get grocery sacks full of the fruit over there. And my grandmother would make jellies and pies and stuff out of it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we lived on a real busy street, and you had to cross a busy street to get into the cemetery. Well, my grandmother went across without me just to see if I was seeing what she saw. And I heard this woman crying. I'll never forget this till the day I die. She was in a beautiful white dress, leaned over a grave, and she was bawling. And me growing up here in the South, I was like, I went over to her. I said, "Ma'am, are you okay?" And she smiled at me, dude. Says, "I'm good now." And then like that, boom, she was gone.
Mm-hmm.
I went back up to the road, looked both ways. My grandmother was just eyes wide as they could be. She goes, "I knew you had the gift. I knew it." And then this is funny. 2 weeks later, my grandmother was a medicine woman. People would come to our house before they go see a regular doctor. She did a lot of telling people what they were going to have with babies and stuff like that. And if they had flu or something, she'd make them these little bags of stuff that just stunk to high heaven. And that I remember. I wish I remembered what she was putting in those bags. And because I helped her pick a lot of it when we were little. But I didn't realize we were picking it for that. I just thought she liked there's a pretty plant. Let's pick that for her, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, a lady came by, and she comes to the house. And before my grandmother said a word, I looked at the lady, and I was probably like 4 and a half, 5. I looked at her and says, "You got 2. And she looked at me, and my grandmother says, "What do you mean I got 2? I said, "I see 2. And she says, How do you know that?" I said, "I see them." And my grandmother was just smiling like a Cheshire cat, grin big as all get out. And then 2 weeks later, she went to her doctor. She looked at my grandmother and goes, "He said I'm having twins. How does that little boy know I'm having twins?" I said, "I saw them." And it freaked her out because I'm 5 years old and tell her she's going to have 2 babies.
That's cool. I've actually had some of my teammates and some of their family members, and I've actually got them right when they asked, and I told them the reasons why, and that's exactly what they had. So it was that's pretty cool when people are able to do that, especially when you can feel the vibration. Like if you're able to put your hand on their belly and feel that vibration, that actually tells a lot of a story too.
Shane, I never touched them. I never touched that lady one time, but I could see them. Then from then on, they would come by and have me touch their stomachs. Says, "What am I having?" "Okay, you got a little boy." And I had one lady get mad at me because "I got 4 boys. I don't want another boy. I want a little girl." I was like, "I don't know what to tell you, lady, but I'm seeing a little boy." And it came out in a big ass. I think that baby weighed like almost 13 pounds when it came out. It was a heifer, man.
Most definitely. So you're talking about your younger years and when you were younger. So when did you actually start noticing you had your gifts at that time?
About 4. I remember seeing spirits from the time I was 4. I probably saw them before them, but that's as far back as my memory let me go that I could remember seeing them every day.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you a funny story. One of my aunt's husbands died, and he was very jealous. And I don't know, people, where you live in Illinois, they might not do it, but down here in the South, somebody dies, somebody from the church is coming to your house. It's a given. And he did not like other men if they wasn't family. And he didn't care if they were from the church, if they were from the government. He didn't care. I watched him pick up this vase off of this mantle and hurl this thing at the door at those 2 men from the church. And I had started laughing. My mom got mad at me. Says, "Why are you laughing?" I said, "Uncle Henry just threw a vase at those men." "No, he didn't. No, he didn't." "Yeah, he did, Mom." So I got to watch that. That was pretty cool. Now, it's weird for me now, though. I've got a lot better, but it was hard for me to go in crowds because I see not only the people in the crowds, but all the spirits that are around that crowd, all the ancestors and all the people still walking the streets. I see it all. Funeral homes and hospitals were hard for me when I was younger. And I finally learned how to just tell them to back off because I didn't know I had the permission to do that. And then finally, this other lady that was a good friend of my grandmother's, part of the same tribe we were in, she got a hold of me one day. She said, Blaine, look, you got to tell them no. It's like, but I'm a kid. I'm not supposed to tell nobody no. He goes, this is one reason you could tell them no.
Right.
And so once I started telling them no, hey, back off. I understand what you're doing. I feel what you're feeling. I don't need to feel every ailment and ailment you had. Okay. So please back off. You can tell me and I will work through it and do whatever I can to help you. But please do not show me all at one time.
Right.
And I had that happen to me probably right when I first married my wife, Jennifer. We've been married for 24 years now, and we were up in Helen, Georgia. And we were going through this old antique house that had antiques in it. I love going to antiques because I love to pick up the energy off of them. Well, we did the little tour, and there's a restaurant down on the bottom of it. And we were going to eat, and I'm like, I'm not feeling good. I kept getting attacked. I had pregnant women show me what it was like to give birth, stab victims, hit gunshot wounds, appendicitis people, all at one time. I had like 40 spirits come at me at one time. And finally, I was like, please stop, back up, stop. Tell me what's going on. You don't all have to show me at one time. And then they started telling me, well, I had this. It was a lot easier on me. But dude, when you're getting attacked 40 different ways from Sunday, by 40 different spirits and 40 different ailments and wounds, and that was rough. But I finally figured out how to do that. And now it's like I can still feel the energies around people. But if it starts being too intense for me, I'm like, all right, that's enough. Back away. You can tell me what's going on. But before I learned it, dude, it was like just best way to describe it is like if you're in the military and you get a rank promotion and you have to go through the gauntlet, everybody punches you in the arm. Rank, that's what it felt like, but you were hurting everywhere.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I noticed one thing, like I said, when I was going through the Menaki rites, I'd go walking through a store, and the energy, it felt like a pinball machine.
Yeah.
It was like, and finally I got to the point where I balanced enough. I can actually turn off and put that back on at will now. Yeah. And it doesn't bother me as much, but if I go in knowing what's there and what I'm looking for, it's fine. But if you walk into a place, you can definitely feel that energy. And I think some people, when they, how do they say, get anxiety from being around a lot of people and stuff, it makes me wonder if they an empath and just not understanding what they're feeling around them.
And I guarantee you, every person on this earth has gifts because they were naturally given to us as part of our fight or flight.
Right.
And a lot of them were told, that's bad. You're not supposed to have none of that stuff. Well, if you walk into a room, you pick up the energy as soon as you walk into a room. You know if you're going to be happy in that room or somebody was very pissed off in that room. But they might seem like they're all happy and giddy when you walk in there. But before 5 minutes when you walked in there, they were at each other's throats. You can still pick up that energy off of them.
Especially the negativity.
It's like with me, dude, I can tell within 3 minutes if you're going to be a friend of mine or just an acquaintance or a lesson.
Yeah. And some people don't understand that either, because some people will come into your life for you to teach them something, them to teach you something, or they might be one of those people that's going to be there for the long run, or they're just there for guidance and then they go.
Yeah. I call them a lesson or a blessing. One of the two, because our tribe right now is, and I could count on one hand who's in my tribe right now. Leachana Brown, Matt Brown, Gwen, you. And on my other hand, I have military friends that served with me, that we were in the shit together, Those 10 people I trust. Rest of you, sorry. I'll give you a chance and I'll be kind and I'll be courteous to you. But as soon as my energy tells me, no, you're not good, worth my time, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I've ran into some people that I've tried helping over and over and over again. Yeah. And, you can lead them, you can show them, and you can tell them how to deal with it.
Yeah.
But until they accept that change to change themselves, they're going to keep manifesting the same thing over and over and over until they accept the right that they need to change to fix it.
Yeah. Well, I had a case that Lee helped me with. Went to this lady's house. Her mother kept coming to visit her. And the thing I found out later is all the stuff we told her to do. And I even sent her mother on. I crossed her mother over.
Mm-hmm.
And not even an hour after I left, Lee called me and goes, her mother's back. I said, you're kidding me. She said, no, she brought him back because she called Lee. Said, I can't handle it with my mom. I'm bringing her back.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to the point there. I was like, dude, okay, you're not going to listen to what I tell you. You're making yourself angry, upset, and hurt, but you won't let your mother go. I said, look, I've crossed her, and people don't understand when you cross somebody, they can go back to, and I call it they have levels, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Just like you do in life. You're born, you take your first steps, you go to school, get married, blah, 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 until you die. All right. Same thing when you die, you have other steps and other levels you have to go to. Well, once I cross you, you can go back to any level you were at, except for the original body you came out of. Mm-hmm. So if you were, just say your mother was at your house and I crossed her over and you brought her back, well, she still can come back to you.
Mm-hmm.
But she's already, our time is not the same as theirs. So within a second of her leaving and going to her other levels, we don't know how much time that is between her levels.
Oh, yeah.
With us, it's just like instantaneous. All of a sudden, your mother's back and her spirit's right there again. But she's went through all these different levels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I actually had somebody that was dear that passed away that was close to me. And she actually showed me how to cross the veil when I need to cross it. And she said, you're very capable of doing that. So I actually visit her on occasions, and I still talk with her on a daily basis from now every once in a while as well. But she's the one that said you're capable, very capable of doing it.
That's how I found out. It's my father's mother came to me in a dream one night and says, you can come visit us. I was like 7 or 8. I was like, how? Says, don't think about it. Just let your spirit come out of your body and you can go anywhere. Mm-hmm. And I started playing. I go a little bit further out of my body every night. I get to the roof of the house. Then I'd be over the roof of the house. Then I'd be out in the middle of nowhere. And then next thing I know, I'm seeing my grandfather, my grandmother, and a whole bunch of family members. And we're having a good time talking. And it's like, okay, it's time for you to go back now. And next thing you know, you're waking up and you're back in your body.
Yeah. The one thing you do that's a term of astral projection. And when you do that, and especially at sleeping at nighttime, you always want to keep obsidian or something close to your body.
Always have obsidian on.
To keep it from entering your body when you're gone.
Yeah.
That's definitely a good thing too. We have
Joe Eldridge on my finger every time I go to sleep. I take it off and I get up in the morning because I don't like wearing them unless it's special occasions. But I learned how to do that, and I learned how to, like you said, cross the veil. Mm-hmm. The way I look at it, dude. Okay, I believe that we are living in multi-dimensional timelines, and I believe we can cross over those timelines because I know they teach us in Reiki that your Reiki is good for past, present, and future. Mm-hmm. Well, that's telling me you're able to go through the different timelines and the different wavelengths and different frequencies, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. We've got Joe Aldridge in the house, Kathy Dalton, and Daniel Elwell is in the house as well. Thanks everyone for stopping in tonight. If you guys got any questions, chime in and we'll answer them for you right here live during the show.
And this is funny, dude. I love the paranormal side of this, but I also love the crime side that we do because I've got a master's degree in psychology. I got 2 master's degrees in history. one of world history and one of military history that I got when I was in the Air Force. I was like, hey, free masters, I'm taking it. So I took it. But the psychological side, like some of the people that we talk about on our show, I'm more concerned about the victims because now they're all different spirits of those victims.
Mm-hmm.
And I will help those spirits because they didn't ask to be killed by a serial killer. You know, they had plans for their lives. You know, they might have done something well that changed the way humanity looks at each other. We'll never know that because an idiot that had an urge to kill people killed them, you know?
Yeah, most definitely. One of the most intense investigations I was on was a 12-hour investigation with my old team, along with a team up of another team. And we were called in there because prior to us going to the investigation, and the other team that invited us had already been there, didn't understand what was going on, so they wanted some help. And we went in there and we found out that there was a very bad spirit in that house. And I mean, it was intense. You could feel it when you walk in the door.
Mm-hmm.
And it was holding children's spirits in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
And we kept hearing it come up. The kids, they would say certain words and certain things. And we knew it was kids at the time. And me and one of the other ladies that was on the other team, I said, you do know it's following me and you, right? And she goes, yeah, it's been following me here and following you there, and I can sense it. I said, I've got an idea. So anyway, I knew it would kept flicking my ear once in a while because it would just flick it. And I was like, there's nobody behind me. And and you could feel it like while you're standing, and you could feel it on the back of your neck. And I was like, I know what I'm going to do. So anyway, we got down to the basement, and I gave her all my crystals except for one.
Mm-hmm.
And then I asked her for some salt. So as soon as I knew that my crystals were gone, what's it do? It comes straight toward me. And once it did, I put a salt ring around me and it. And then it was all over except the shouting. And the person next to me said it felt that spirit walk right through them before it got to me.
Mm-hmm.
But we ended up getting rid of it. And he has a new home and a new location here where I live, but not at my facility, but he got a new home somewhere else.
They did an episode of it on what was it called? Paranormal Witness, and it was my friend ended up writing a book called Haint Blue. Haint is a color that slaves. It was that they called spirits were haints. So we did this investigation up there. This is the first time I investigated with this group, and I get to the house before they do, and I'm sitting outside waiting on them to show up. And this older black man spirit, I watched him walk right through the door. He goes, "You can see me, can't you?" I said, "Yes, sir." He says, "I know why you're here." I just said, "Okay, what am I doing here?" He says, "I've done bad things and you're going to make me leave." I'm like, "Maybe." And he said, "Well, let you know that I am real. When you guys come in the house, there is a closet in the kitchen. I want you to open that door, and there is a cane sitting on the left-hand side of that door." So we got inside. I went in that door, and there was a cane. And I didn't say nothing to this is a brand new group, had never investigated with me. And I've been doing this since 85. So I walk in there. As soon as I grabbed the cane, the little dining room area, there was a chandelier over the dining room. And I could tell you this, dude, there was no air on in the place. We had to turn the air conditioner on. The family that had lived there just bolted out in the middle of the night because it was so bad. The chandelier started moving. And dude, I'm telling you, it was no air in there. It was like an oven in there because no air had been on. So there's no wind making this thing move. And I was making it move on command. I said, "All right, move to the left now." And it would go to the left. I said, "Go to the right." It'd go to the right. Go toward the door. Boom. Go toward us. Boom. It would. And I said, "Okay, can you stop now?" And it just, dude, all of a sudden just stopped. And I'm with this new group, and their mouths are wide open. It's like, they're looking to see if I put strings on it or something. I was like, dude, I never touched the thing. We were in there, and there was 3 bad spirits in the house. There was the black man that lived in the house. He was a preacher. He was a murderer and a rapist. I'll give you a little backstory on him. How he got caught, as he was sleeping with his cousin's wife. And
Pam.
Hey, Pam. And the preacher's at the funeral, and his brother comes up and shoots him at the daggum funeral. I mean, kills him at the funeral. Dropped him where he stood. Well, there were 2. This is way beforehand the preacher moved in the house. During the Civil War, it was a farm. And it was 2 brothers that lived on that farm, just ornery little cusses. One was 18, one was 19. And they were murderers, they were rapists, they were thieves. I'd call them deserters because they were supposed to go fight in the war and never did. And they got caught selling stuff to both Union and Confederate troops, stealing from both of them and selling them back to the other one.
Hey, Moose Man.
So they're in there trying to talk. We're listening to Ghost Box, and these 2 brothers are in there trying to talk like they're just Billy badasses. And one of them said, "I'm the devil." I'm like, okay. Can you talk in your big boy voices now? Because you're not fooling anybody. I can see what you look like. I see 2 brothers look at each other and go, "What the hell? How does he know? It's just us." And then I called Janimal. I said, "Janimal, I need a little help with these 2." I said, "They don't have any damn upbringing, no home cooking. They're just bad boys." And I heard Janimal say this, "Hold on, I'll be right back." And the next thing I heard with these 2 boys, his mother, the spirit of their mother, dude, you want to talk about getting ass chewed. I was sitting there like trying not to cry, laughing because mama was going off on them. And I heard, "Yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am." I laughed so damn hard. I was like, "Mama, get him." I was like, "Jennifer, you're the best." I was like, "Who else would go get their damn mama to come straighten them out?" I said, "That is a stroke of genius right there." And
yeah.
I didn't have to do nothing the rest of the night with them. So it ended up I had to deal with the preacher. And the preacher, dude, his energy was just off the hooks bad. And it's funny, dude. I'll go back a little bit. When we all got there, nobody had phone signal. I had phone signal before they pulled up. I had 5 bars. As soon as everybody pulled up, dude, everything went dead. We could not call each other. We could not text each other. Standing right next to each other, we couldn't do it.
Wow.
And I did a cleansing. Let me tell you some other things that happened on that real quick before I did the cleansing on it. These spirits were attacking the mother and attacking a 5-year-old little girl who's autistic. And she had a son that was 8 that was autistic, messing with him. And this damn thing got in there and was choking the mother in the bed because the husband worked nights. He wasn't even at the house. It only do it when he wasn't there because he was a coward. Both brothers and the preacher all 3 of them were just cowards. They'd only pick on women and children. And when I got in there and stood up to him, and then they went after the mother got choked, it went down the hall and looked right at the lady and says, "I'm going to choke your daughter now." And then she's like stuck in bed, can't move, can't defend her child. She's freaking out. I'm sure any parent would freak out. And then it started choking the little girl. Well, finally the thing stopped choking the little girl, short of killing the little girl, and she's like petrified. And after I did the cleansing on it, all of our phones came back up. And then when we did the reveal with her 2 weeks later, no, this is something that just makes me happy as hell. We go to the house and her little girl's autistic, and most autistic people will not go around new people. It's just something they don't do. We walked in the door. I sit down. The little girl came right over into my lap and hugged me and goes, "Thank you." Like she knew I had done something to help her and her mother. And her mother's like this big. So she don't go to anybody. She says, "What'd you say to her?" I said, "Hello." And then that little girl was my friend the rest of the night. She would not leave my side until I left.
Yeah, that's crazy. That how things ended. Yeah, definitely so. I've had some really bad ones I've ran into.
Oh yeah,
That it's just I think a lot of people have said the comments. What if you die evil, you're going to be evil, and there's no way
yeah,
of really changing it. And
no,
I've definitely ran into some people like that as well. And so you can't call them demonic or anything. They're just evil-minded spirits that
yeah.
just need to move on instead of sit there pestering certain people.
See, that's the
And
bad part is they don't want to move on because most of them are so scared of what they've done in that past life that they're going straight to hell for it. Well, they don't understand that there are lessons that they have to go through. And that's the reason why they go through these lessons to figure out why they did what they did on this life. Well, you won't do it in your next life. And sometimes some of those people are so damn stubborn that they don't want to listen. They don't want to be changed. And they always end up miserable. In life, they're miserable. In death, they're miserable. They'll stay miserable. Even when they try to help them.
Yeah, I did, Moose. I did get rid of some really bad stuff at your place. That is for sure.
Yeah, I probably had to do probably 600-700 house cleansings, business cleansings. For the longest time, do that. I didn't get to do regular investigations because I was too busy clearing houses of damn evil shit.
Mm-hmm. I've actually done more residentials than I have specific locations.
Yeah.
And like I said, I actually like helping the people and helping them understand what's going on there. And if I have to get rid of it, we'll get rid of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's certain ways that I get rid of it, just like I'm sure there's certain ways you do. And they ain't gonna come back. And
no.
Yeah. And we were taught those by our guides for sure because it's a special gift that has to be gone through.
Oh yeah, dude. When I cross one, I tell Jana is the one that helps me with it, and sometimes Bear and Wolf will help guide them to Janawa. I notice they go look for the little short Native American woman. You can't miss her. Go to her. And I heard one look back and goes, but she's going to hurt me. I'm like, no, Janawa's not going to hurt you. It's not her job to hurt you. But if you want her to hurt you, I can make her hurt you. If you want that, then I'll watch them. And they'll walk up to Janawa and they'll go through that. I call it, it's not even a light. It's like a door opens and they walk through the door. But it's no light at the door at all. It's like a door just opens and there it is. And then they go through and there it's not.
Yeah, like I said, I know there's different ways that each of us do it, but mine's a little different. And Moose Man, when I took the one out of his house, he's talking about it actually cussed me a few times over the Ovilus. And
nice.
It was mocking me at the time. And he started laughing and doing what he was doing. And I was like, okay, I gave you a chance. I said, you had a choice to leave on your own or whatever. And I ended up taking care of that.
Yeah.
I know he's got some oddball stuff that keeps passing through his place. So we're definitely going to have to go down there again.
Yeah. It seems to me that guy has a portal in his house that needs to be shut down.
Well, there's a lot of stuff that was really kind of, how do I say it? Like I said, I got rid of the bad stuff. But he lives right next to a creek with a lot of water.
That would do it. Probably on top of a limestone.
Yeah, and probably on limestone as well. Yeah, he's talking about the barn one when I was out there. That's the one that was giving me a real super problem. And then there was one in the attic I took care of as well. It was up there. I don't think he hears much knocking up there anymore as he used to. But there's still one place or part of his house. Me and Pam were actually there. Yeah, he said river and limestone. Part where Pam was in the chat here. Me and her were at Moose's house one day, and we were up in a certain room, and we had the EMF detector out, and it was coming up red hot. I mean, red hot. The funny thing about it is we looked at for that whole wall. There's no power lines. There's no outlet. There's no nothing. that has anything to do with energy on that wall in that location. I even went outside and looked up on the side of the house to make sure there's no power that was behind the wall with a connection. Nothing. That still baffles me today, and we can't quite figure that out. I definitely want to bring the team back when Moose has time.
Oh, definitely.
Definitely check that. Yeah, it was in the girls' room. And I know Lori and Pam were actually doing some scrying up there. That's when I learned how to scry. And that was very interesting when we were up there because we seen the stuff that was up there. And we actually got one thing to fall off the table that was interesting that we caught on video up there. But yeah, Moose has got an interesting place. Like I said, it's next to limestone and water next to that creek bed. And he's got a lot of passer through there. But Moose is pretty strong in his own right, so he does some things on his own. But yeah, it's definitely interesting for that.
Well, Moose has gifts.
Oh yeah, Moose has got gifts. He's for sure.
That's why they're coming to his house, because they're attracting him, like they come to mine, like they come to yours. I probably have 500 spirits a day walk through my house. Yeah,
I mean, I've got some that walk through, but the ones I've also got what they call a barrier around my house that I've put up.
Yeah.
So there's certain ones that can come in and certain ones that can stay the hell out. But I don't mess with them, but I treat them like they treat me, like you said, treat them with some respect, and they just kind of pass through, or they'll talk to you or whatever.
Yeah.
He says it's a way station.
Moose, I feel you, brother.
But what was the first paranormal team you ever joined?
Okay, my first paranormal investigation was in 1985. I was stationed at Norton Air Force Base in California. We had this room where we could watch TV and play fool's ball, stuff like they call it a day room. We're sitting there watching Helter Skelter on TV. And I looked at my buddies. There was 3 of us up there. And I said, dude, we're only 60 miles away from that house. No shit. All right, come on. We packed up, dude. We had a Polaroid camera. We had a cassette recorder, the little square one. You push the 2 buttons to play and record.
Right.
And anybody's been in the military, they give you these flashlights with these little cones on the end of them. We call them Lackland lasers in the Air Force. That's what we had. And when we got up to the place, already the Tate house that she lived in had been torn down, and the house next door had been torn down, and they built another house between the 2 properties. Well, and it's in like a little cul-de-sac up there. And I knew well enough if I stayed on the concrete, on the street, and not go across the curb, I couldn't be trespassing because street is private property. I mean, public property. We had an LA County Sheriff's Office come up there and ask us what we were doing. And we didn't have a word for it. I said, we're trying to catch ghosts. And he's like, I get off in 10 minutes. Do you mind if I come back? I'm like, hell yeah, you come on back. It means I can't get away. So this is what I got the first investigation, dude. We got nothing on the camera. Nothing but a bunch of dust and crap and pollen and shit like that. Just flashlight really didn't do much of nothing anyway. It was just there. On the cassette recorder, the first one I got to come through was Abigail Folger. And I said, what did your family do? And clear as day, you hear say, we make coffee. She was heiress to the Folger's coffee fortune. And then Jake Sebring was the second one guy. He was a stylist for the Stars. He was like up there with Vidal Sassoon type. That's how high up he was in Hollywood. And I got him to say, I cut hair. I was like, dude, you did a lot more cut hair, man. You like styled hair. Matter of fact, he styled Elvis's hair for one of Elvis's movies. I was like, how cool is that? He styled Elvis's hair, man. That's badass.
Shit.
So, yeah, because I'm a huge Elvis fan, and me and Leo are related to him. So, hell, I named all of my guns after Elvis songs and TCB. But the third thing we caught was Sharon Tate came through. She said, they stabbed me. They stabbed my baby. I'm like, holy shit.
Oh, wow.
first real EVP I caught was her saying they stabbed me and they stabbed my baby.
Wow.
And I was like, holy shit. And that got me hooked. I've been investigating ever since. So
yeah, I definitely know. Once it gets in your blood, you're definitely hooked for it, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, dude. I wish I had more time.
Well,
Hi,
Richard.
Richard, man.
But yeah, once it gets in your blood, you're definitely hooked on it, and you're always looking for more information and understanding of what and how and why and everything else.
Well,
and
dude, I was like the little kid reading Van Doniken, Chariot of Gods. I read that when I was little. There was an author named Harriet Wyndham here in Alabama, wrote a book called 13 Alabama Ghosts. Mm-hmm. I went to every place of the 13 Ghosts before I was 13 years old. I made my dad take me to these places because they're historical and I wanted to see them. So I got to go to all those. When Leonard Nimoy had a show called In Search Of, I watched that religiously. When I read every book I could read on spiritualism, on ghosts, Bigfoots, UFOs, anything I could get my hands on. And yeah, you're right, dude. It's like a drug. You do that first one, you want more. And then you have a letdown when you don't get to investigate for a while.
Oh yeah. That's called my winter period. We stay home, and that's the podcast. That's podcast season for me. But
yeah, pretty much us too. It's like, unless it's an emergency case that we have to go to where a family's involved or a child's about to get hurt or a woman's about to get hurt. Yeah, we don't do that many investigations during the wintertime because one, it's too damn cold for one, and I don't know. It's just I know we need a break from this every now and then because it's so consumed of our lives. But yeah, I like our we do the podcast, and then spring hits, you start doing your paracons and your events.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Back off of me, damn you! If one had to show me, well, I wasn't paying attention at that moment.
But yeah, we definitely, like I said, during the winter, it's pretty slow. Like I said, unless there's a family or somebody that calls us that needs our help and it's kind of an emergency thing, then we'll go out and definitely take it, especially if there's small kids involved. I definitely don't let it sit around very long until I get there.
No. You're like me on that one. It's like, okay, I have to go help these people. I have no choice but to go help these people. And your body, your mind will tell you over and over again, you're going to help these people. You're going to help these people till it gets to the point where, like, I guess we're going to go help these people. Oh yeah,
it's like I said, that's the best payment you can get is once you help somebody and they get that calmness and feeling back of what in control, where they didn't have that control before, and understanding what's going on. And then it's like, thank you. That's the best anybody can get. Because I think you're like us. We don't charge. We don't do anything. We go in there and we take care of what we have to do.
I love the people ask you, well, how much do you charge? It's like, there's people that charge for this?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
There's crazy people that I know. Yeah, they do. And I am not for any of that. I do not.
Yeah.
I do not charge. And
well, about the most I'll take is like somebody wants to feed me. I'm a fat boy, so I'm not going to turn down free food.
Yeah. Moose was actually pretty cool because when we come on his investigation to his house, he actually made the dinner for the team, and we all ate there that night before the investigation.
Right on, man. See, I love that. I'll do those investigations all day long, and if you don't give me anything, I'll still go do the investigation. And what I love more than anything is having the people themselves that live in the house help me do the ritual of removing them. Then they found that they have the power that they can do this, dude. And it's funny. I'll tell them, I said, all right, you first started like, all right, feel how this energy is a little heavy in here now? Yeah, it's just like this all the time. Watch when we get done. I want you to tell me what it feels like. And dude, as soon as I have them kick the spirits out that front door and shut that door behind them, it's like a weight was lifted off. You can see that the atmosphere in the room just changed. It goes from darkness to real bright, and it's like, oh my God, it feels light in here. I don't feel jumpy
you can definitely tell the difference. Yeah.
Oh,
you can definitely tell the difference. That's how I ended up getting one of my team members on my team, is that she would actually watch me during the old team when we were doing investigations live. And she actually reached out to me at the beginning of this last year. Well, a little before that, probably middle of last summer, and said, hey, I got an issue. Can you come help me with it? And, all right. I actually went and helped her with it. And I said, since I'm just by myself tonight, I said, why don't you help me investigate this? Why don't we come up with, what you think? And I'm going to tell you my opinion, and I'll give you what you need to check it out. So I brought my gear, and we did her grandma's house, and we debunked a lot of the stuff that her grandma was seeing and everything else. And she's like, wow. And she ended up joining my team. So
that's awesome, dude.
Yeah. Hello, Lori.
Hi, Lori.
Lori Bragg's in the house. Yeah,
so
she was on that
investigation.
Yeah. Moose and Pam and Lori were all at that. Well, it was actually Moose's house we were at, because Lori and Pam came from Indiana to go with us that night to do that investigation.
That's cool, man.
But it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's so exciting for me to do it, because I love being around people that have never investigated, because of their energy. Mm-hmm. They got that excitement energy, and they got that little bit of fear energy in them. And I jokingly call them bait, because their energy attracts a lot of spirits.
Ghost bait. Yep. Ghost bait. Yep. That's what we call them too. The rookies.
Yeah.
Call them ghost bait. Has there ever been a location that you've been to that he's like, nope, I'm turning around, walking out. This is too much?
No. I have faced from the worst of the worst to the worst to the most mellow. I have walked into locations where there are at least 30 to 40 just badass, pissed off evil spirits.
Mm-hmm.
And had to fight every one of them and protect everyone that was around me, and walk out of the house with not one of them still left in the house, not even a remnant of their energies left in the house. Yeah, so I have not walked away from anything.
Yeah, I haven't either. I haven't got into a predicament like that, but like I said, I go in there well grounded. Yeah. I go in there with a level head. I don't go in there and provoke anything. I want to find out what it is before I start doing what I do. And it seems to work all the time. I've always got access to friends. I've got a list of friends that if I run into a situation that I'm not sure of, I'd say, hey, this is what's going on. I need your opinion, because I'm not coming up with anything.
So dude, ever need me, call me. I'll give you my number after the show. Feel free to call me, dude. I'll help you walk through it. But I'll tell you this, it's funny. To me, it's funny. I've never gotten scared in investigation, but one time. And I'll tell you why. There's a fort near us called Fort Toulouse. We were doing just a daytime trip out there, because there's a 30-foot Indian Creek burial mound there. And I always go up and talk to the Native American spirits, the Creek Indians there. Walking toward the mounds, I heard something rustling in the woods, and all of a sudden I saw this armadillo come out of the woods. Dude, I'd never seen one alive. It didn't scare me. It scared me. I was like, damn, they are alive. But that's the only time I ever got scared. And not really scared. It was just like shocked. It's like, that's the first time I ever seen one walk. I've always seen them dead on the side of the road. So I thought they stayed that way.
We were in a cemetery with my old team. Well, I was on the old team at the time. And me and one of the guys was walking through the timber part, and I had my Ovilus out, and it was talking a little bit, doing some jibber jabber, and it said something. I never paid much attention to it. It's like, yeah, whatever. And he's standing right next to me, and he's kind of walking in front of me, and all of a sudden we hear this noise. And so we turned and we looked. Next thing we heard was a growl. And next thing you know, he's running, flying by me, going straight out the back, going out through the end of the timber. And I'm sitting there looking like, what in the heck is going on? He says, well, the only one I got to beat is you. And I'm like, I ain't running, so why are you running?
Dude, you see me run out. I ran out of bullets. No, I'll sit there and fight whatever it is. But yeah, dude.
That was on a video, and I know it got a lot of views.
I'll tell you another funny one, too. Me, Lee, Matt, and her son, Elijah, were at Sloss. Elijah's probably like 8, 9 years old.
Mm-hmm.
We were just at the start of the investigation. I was telling everybody about the history of the place and blah, 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 blah. They had these 2 football players. One played at Alabama, one played at Auburn. Big boys, big boys.
Yeah.
And I heard one of them say, oh, I ain't scared of this shit. About that time, a ghost touched him on the ear. Dude, I heard him scream like a little girl. I almost started laughing because, dude, it was high-pitched, like from this deep, big, because I'm a big boy, but damn, dude, I could scream like that if I wanted to. If you grabbed my nads, I wouldn't be able to scream that high. Dude, he was like, hey, and his buddy's like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And it flicked him on the back of his ear, dude. All I saw was ass and elbows going back to the parking lot. Them sideways out the parking lot, gone. And we didn't see the rest of it. And it was funny, before they left, Elijah's like 8 years old and goes, stand behind me, I'll protect you. And I laughed. Me and Lee laughed so hard. And then when you get laughing like that, spirits get happy too. They start wanting to pitch in too. And they were like Ghostbox rest of the night. They kept calling them names the rest of the night, like Scaredy Cat, Baby Girls, Screamed Like a Girl. Dude, it was I laughed so damn hard. But I saw that. But I'll tell you another funny story that happened to me. We're at this place called Bryce's Hospital in Tuscaloosa. It was an old mental institution. Right next door, there's an old convalescent home that the state was going to rebuild and make it nice senior apartments.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they had a sidewalk still there, and they had this stack of wood just stacked up just pretty, man. And about the time I go down to sit down on it, luckily I still have my ghost box running and my recorder running because I never turned it off from the hospital. I go to sit down. I hear this old man goes, it ain't going to hold you, dumbass. And then you hear on the recorder, you hear us sit down, the wood break. It just goes around here. I go, whoo. Then you hear the old man, told you, dumbass. I was like, that's pretty freaking cool. I was like, that is awesome. I'm not afraid to laugh at myself. It's like, hey, he gave me a warning. It wasn't gonna hold me. And my dumbass sat down, and he was right.
Yeah, most definitely. So, I'm sure you've been on an investigation of a cemetery, right? You've done
more times than I can count.
And have you seen what I call the guardians that walk the cemetery? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do exactly what you're talking about. I've seen many of those. Yes. Many of those.
There's some pretty interesting ones I've crossed that I have seen when I'm out in the cemetery, especially around children's graves. I noticed there are more of them that are around there than the average ones, but that's definitely an interesting one, especially in the middle of the night, especially at the witching hour of how much you actually see when you're in those cemeteries.
I just like the people go, well, you can't get nothing cemetery. I said, you ain't been in the right cemetery because every cemetery I've been to, I'll tell you a good story. It happened to us at a cemetery one night. This old cemetery, dude, out in the middle of nowhere. And we had parked. You probably had to park like 100 feet before you got into the actual graveyard because you couldn't go up in one of them old country ones. We parked the car. I heard my wife lock the car. I get down to the cemetery. I'm over this child's grave, and I'm saying hello to the child. About that time, I saw my headlights come on. I'm like, what the hell? I turn around. There's a spirit inside the driver's seat trying to figure out how to turn the car on.
Oh, wow.
Then he opens the doors and the alarm goes off. I'm like, dude, really? If you want a ride, I'd have gave you a ride. You didn't have to jump in the car and try to steal it. Dude, he was trying to take off in the car. That was pretty funny to me. I thought my wife freaked out. Her friend that was with us, she never goes ghost hunting. She's like, does that happen all the time? I said, weird shit always happens around me when I'm in an investigation. And my wife's first time that she ever got touched at a cemetery, we're at another cemetery, old church up there. All that was left was like 3 sides. The front was already gone. Most of the floor was gone. I think the steeple was half still there. And they had a fence around the graveyard. And I was probably about 10 foot away from my wife, and I watched her jacket lift up twice. And the second time it lifted up, she says, why did you grab my coat? And realized there's no physical way I could have grabbed her coat where I was standing. And the next thing I know, she was like a part of me because she hit me so damn hard that she wasn't moving the rest of the night. I got to laughing. I thought it was so funny. It's just, it wasn't funny. He touched me. I was like, you're ghost hunt, woman.
I think another of the funniest ones I did on an investigation, and I thought I was hilarious. I was on the old team again at a different time. And we were at the cemetery. Next thing you know, we had all of our gear packed up. We were heading to the car. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning. Next thing you know, we look up, and there's cop cars out there by our cars. So we start walking toward there, and the cops are looking around. And one car they got to look through it. Second car they got to started looking through it, and there's dolls all over in the car. And he's like looking in here, trying to figure out what's going on. We finally get up there, and he starts seeing our shirts because it says paranormal investigator and stuff at the time. And he's like, what are you guys doing here? It's past closing time. Well, we're here because a client wanted us to get in contact with one of the relatives is why we were there. And anyway, he kept looking around, and he started seeing stuff, seeing all of our gear and everything. He knew we wasn't in there damaging anything.
Yeah.
And kept looking in the car with the dolls. He's like, what's with all the dolls? And one of the girls says, well, if you'd like to take one home, I'll let you have one. And he's like, what are they? And he goes, they're haunted dolls. And he goes, huh? Yeah, they're haunted dolls. And then he started looking at the rest of it. He says, you know what? I don't care. I don't want to know anything. Just pack your stuff and get out of here. Just get out of here.
What a lot of people don't know, dolls were originally intended to house the souls of the dead.
Oh, yeah.
So dolls, I have a lot of friends that love their haunted dolls. Gwen has some. Lee has some. Every time I go around them, I see what the true spirit is in that doll. Whether it be a child spirit or a pedophile spirit, which I've got a lot of them that'll show up in dolls, that'll hold all the other children's spirits hostage. Lee's got one that every time I go there, that's like, you can't hurt me. He said, well, I will try. I said, you try all you want to. And oh, by the way, you have no power over these other spirits either. What do you mean? So I've always had power over them. No, you don't. Not no more. I took that from you. How can you do that? I said, I just did. I don't tell them why. Yeah. It was like, dude, go ahead and see if you can get near one of them children's spirit now. And they'll sure enough try. And they'll come back and go, what'd you do to me? Those were mine. I'm like, no, they wasn't. They were never yours. You just thought they were yours. Oh, they belong to somebody else, and it's not.
Yeah, but yeah, like I said, I've definitely come across.
I'll give you another one that
we've come across a doll one time.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of dolls.
And the EMF detector went off, and it has no batteries, no electronics or anything, and it's a doll from like the 1960s, early 60s maybe. No, nothing in it, but the EMF will go off when you're sitting right next to it all the time.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, we did a house one day, and I'll give you another story too. Clowns. If you know the story of clowns, it goes back to the Middle Ages. They called themselves the highwaymen. They would rape, rob, and pillage people that were traveling, and they would paint themselves up as a clown with a smiling face. So,
wow.
And then you get that. Then you go to John Wayne Gacy, who was a clown. It just shows you clowns are evil. So this lady had over 75 porcelain clown dolls in one room. Dude, she had them lined up from wall all the way across that wall, across this wall, all the way up to the door. I walk in the door because that was the first. I was just doing my baseline in there to see.
Right.
I walk in there, one of them dolls, I watched it sit back, I watched it lift up, and I watched it fly toward the door at me. And I'm an old baseball player, dude. I played for the University of Alabama when I was in college. So I got up there and I just swung as hard as I could, and I hit that son of a bitch back toward that wall. I heard it hit that wall, went pow. I was like, mess with me again. And I said, I'll wait for you last. And I did. I made that my last room, dude. And that thing flew itself at me. It pissed me off. That's what it did. It didn't scare me. I was mad as hell.
Yeah, I haven't really came across anything freaky that scares me that bad yet. Like I said, I've come across some bad stuff, but I've stood there and took it on for sure. But and I've seen some pretty bizarre stuff during my time so far as well. And,
I've seen some of the coolest stuff. We're again at Sloss. I've had a lot of stories because I was at Sloss 64 different times. We were sitting there and we were doing a Frank's box, one of the old Frank boxes, one of the first ITC devices that was out there. And we're sitting there and watching this young lady next to me. She takes her camera out and she's flipping out her batteries. I watched her physically take her batteries out of her camera. Okay. I watched them put them in her right pocket, grab into her left pocket to grab the fresh batteries. Before she could put those batteries inside of that camera, dude, I watched that camera expand from about 1.5 inches to about 4 inches. And then it spanned back. This thing sounded like a shotgun going off. My first thing I do, I grab the camera to see if there's any stress on where the screws and stuff were. If there's any stress factors or anything. Dude, it was nothing. Nothing. Dude, it was so good. It was freaky, but it was cool at the same time. I mean, because this thing, when it expanded, dude, it sounded like a shotgun going off. And then it just went right back to normal. I grabbed the camera from her. I grabbed the 2 batteries. I put batteries in, and I started taking pictures just to see if the camera still worked. Dude, it took perfect pictures. And I got a picture of the spirit that grabbed the camera because he's sitting back here looking, pointing back at me like this. I was like, gotcha. I said, that was pretty cool, but you didn't get her. You didn't get me.
Yeah, one of the cool things I took a picture at the location where I was at because I seen, how do I say, when I see a spirit, it's not like how you would see a regular person. I see it as energy waves, like coming off the asphalt.
Yeah.
And it was going across the room, and I was sitting there watching it, and I took my camera out at the time and said, do you want me to take a picture? And I just went like this. I just pointed it up, and I started getting it to where I was starting to look at it to see if I could get it in focus, because I wanted to get it as clear as I could. And I said, you want a picture of yourself? Next thing you know, it goes ching ching on its own.
Nice.
It just did it on its own. I'm like, what the heck,
dude? I've had them pose and smile and all kind of stuff. It's like, hey, can I take a photograph of you? Then they're like teasing and going, hey, and waving at you and putting L's over their heads. I've had someone do some funny ass shit. It just make me laugh.
I've had some stuff with energy that I've done before. I don't know. I'll share a picture here with you. I think I still got it up here. Maybe if I still got it in the roster here. As soon as I can find it. But this is when I was on my former team, we'd have teammates that would get attachments. And me and the Reiki master would work on them and take them out of it. So here's what you can see. If you can look in the background, she's holding up a tuning fork, and I'm doing the work on our teammate. But check out the face that's in the background.
Oh, gotcha.
So pops up
hello.
Here. Yeah.
Actually, there's one above her tuning forks. There's another one that's poking. There's one poking his head up. Is he laying on a table?
No, there's a female laying on the table. And as you notice, I have an SLS. My mentor has an SLS, the stick figures. Yeah. But she has none.
Okay. Whoever's laying on the table to the right side of their head, there is a spirit poking its head up. You see half of its head.
Oh, yeah.
Perfectly.
But
you see the big one behind the tuning forks.
Yeah, we ended up taking that out of our teammate after one of our investigations because we noticed she was acting very strange.
Yeah.
So we took it out of her, and but yeah, I always kept that picture because it's a pretty awesome one.
That is pretty good, dude.
So
Pretty damn good.
Yeah, that's when I started really getting into the Reiki and the energy work with that. And like I said,
I love the Reiki, dude.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Blaine, it's been an hour and 20 minutes.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, we went over, but that's fine. That's good. I mean, we can go another 10 minutes if you like.
No, I want to go. There's actually something I want to go into the crime stuff. There's a new season of Evil Lives Here. Was it Something Speaks? Something Speaks. So it's the criminal actually doing his own story, talking about it. And so, but yeah, dude, I appreciate you having me on the show. Y'all please come listen to Serial Killers, Supernatural, and Murderers, because this week we're doing the story of that young girl that had the exorcism on her. It was like Emily Rose, but she's got actually another name. So
yeah.
I don't know exactly what her name is, but I know about the case. I know there's a lot of stuff we're going to talk about, good and bad, about that case that happened. Some things that should have been done that was not done. But yeah, we'll talk more about that tomorrow. Now, Sean, I appreciate you having me on, brother. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming on. I definitely like watching you guys' shows, especially the Serial Killers, Supernatural, and Murders, because you always learn something new from a different perspective and understand it a little better, because you guys pretty well break that down really well.
Appreciate that.
And I definitely like watching that for many reasons.
We love doing the show.
Kathy says this is a really interesting show. Thanks so much. I really like it. Well, thanks for
welcome.
stopping in, Kathy. Stop in anytime. If you got any questions, real quick, don't feel free to ask. I'm tongue tied tonight. Feel free to ask.
I got a few minutes. I can take questions.
Yeah, and if you do ask them, and I can always get a hold of Blaine if you're asking him or me, and we'll definitely get them answered because I know how to get a hold of Blaine. But yeah, thanks for coming in. That's definitely for sure. And we got one more left of your team to do, and that would be Gwen. I'll have a talk with her when time comes.
Right on, man.
Gwen's and then I'd have all four of you.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed with Gwen because she wasn't really that knowledgeable about serial killers. Now she said she's learned so much from us. But me and Thomas, we study serial killers. I did a paper in college for my master's degree in psychology on the Manson family. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Jesus Christ, that's 40. Oh no, that's 3 years ago. Damn, I did it 43 years ago. Holy crap!
You might be about my age though.
I'll be 60 in October.
Okay, you got 6.5 years on me.
Oh wow.
Well, no, I take that back. Yeah, about 6 years on me. Yep.
Yeah, I think Lee is like between us. I think Lee's like 55.
Yeah, and I know Gwen's the same age as I am. Our birthdays are 3 days apart, believe it or not.
That's funny.
Yeah. So, but yeah, hers is like the 16th and mine's the 19th. So,
right on. Well, dude, have fun at the powwow this weekend. I'm so jealous I can't go.
Oh, damn.
I want to be there so bad, y'all don't even know, because I have, especially when they had the show on early tonight with Gator. Yeah. I want to talk to Gator so bad, just have a conversation with him about Elvis and about tribal stuff and language of the Cherokee, because I've missed out on a lot of that stuff. And it's my own fault because I could have learned. I knew perfect Cherokee when I was a child, but when you don't use it every day for a long time, you forget.
Oh, yeah. And some of their terminology, the way he was explaining it tonight, when they were talking about spiritual stuff, I liked how he breaks it down to the simple aspect of it and then just lets it go. And you know why the meaning's behind it. If like I said, if you sit and listen, you know what the meaning is. But if you just don't want to listen at all, it'll be baffled and you won't understand it anyway.
Well, you know what's funny with me, dude? I cannot speak the tongue anymore. But when I'm getting rid of spirits, it naturally comes out of my mouth. I'm not the one saying it, but I'll have full Cherokee sentences coming out of my mouth that I can understand what I'm saying, why it's being said. But dude, as soon as they're done, I forget everything that was just said. Oh, yeah. I can remember like the first or second line, then it's just blank city. But it wasn't. I found out it wasn't intended for me to know. It was a guide to help that spirit do what they had to do.
Right.
So
exactly, because you will retain what you need to know, and if you don't, it just lets it go. So, but that's definitely for sure. All right, Blaine, I'm going to set you backstage. I appreciate that you came on the show tonight.
Thanks for having me, brother.
We'll talk here in a few minutes. I got a few ads to run, especially for the network, and a couple other little things real quick, and I'll be right back there with you.
All right, buddy.
Thank you again.
Thanks, Bob.
Oh, by the way, you were in the Air Force, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your service, my friend.
Appreciate you.
So I'm going to set you backstage here. Yeah, definitely support the servicemen and women and all of our emergency people as well. Great group of people. They always wanted to help, always willing to put their life on the line for us. So give them some appreciation. That's definitely for sure. Let's see here. Let me find something real quick. Definitely go check out this comic, Austin Light. He's making a comic book. He's looking for some funding as well. Definitely go check out his page. He's been on Paranormal Surge, and he will definitely be on Eternal X Wolfpack in the next few weeks or so as well, and we'll be talking about comics. He's an amazing artist. Definitely go check him out on his sites here listed as well. And let's see here. I've got a couple commercials here. We're going to run actually 3 commercials. Let's start out with this one right now. Yes, definitely go check out All Access Network Television, where you can find a bunch of great shows, counting the Eternal X Wolfpack, Paranormal, the Serial Killers, Supernatural, and Murders, and many others as well. I'm also going to run an ad here for Mr. Thomas Gormley for the Comic-Con or the Paracon he's doing, and here we go. Definitely go check out that Paracon. I've had several of those guests on my show, and I would love to actually see those guys in person. And some of them I will actually meet next week as well. Here's one you definitely don't want to miss coming in July. I will be in the crowd there as well, and that is the Paranormal Rock Down at Broadhead Manor. Here we go.
Brace yourself for the Paranormal Rockdown, July 18th and 19th, 2025 at the haunted Broadhead Manor. Friday night, rock out with Dead Amsterdam, Left on Red, and headliner Green Jelly. The music may not be the only thing shaking these walls. Rumor has it the spirits love a good beat. Will you meet one? Saturday, meet paranormal legends like Dave Schrader, Sam Baltrusis, and more. Enjoy thrilling workshops, tasty treats, and a live Zoom Q&A with Dustin Perry. Dive into the ultimate paranormal investigation with expert guides. Or join a spine-tingling seance with Sam Baltrusis. Tickets are limited. Get yours now for an unforgettable weekend of music, mystery, and chills.
Definitely go check out the Paranormal Rock Down at Broadhead Manor in July as well. This coming Sunday, I will have some very special guests on, and my condolences go out to them. So we will have the Spirit Hunters or the Spirit Mechanics. They will be on the show, and we will talk to them about some things as well, and some of their investigations and what's next for the Spirit Mechanics as well. Raymond was a great friend. You know, I talked to him on occasion, and he will definitely be missed. So definitely check out next week's show when we talk with the Spirit Mechanics. And also check us out Thursday night on Paranormal Surge at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time when me and Gwen will talk to our guest that night as well. I'm not sure who it is, but we will definitely have a great guest on Thursday night on Paranormal Surge. Have a great night, everyone, and I am out of here.